I see I got Jason in here. What's going on, Jason? It's been a long time since we've spoken. I look forward to talking to you again, bro. Nice to have you here in here. Chris, Jason, Matt. I'm glad to have you guys here. Miguel, we're getting started in a couple minutes. And you guys know that I'm very, very passionate about this. And, talking about it is like an amalgamation of a variety of different sciences to help us better study ourselves. I've been doing these for the last year. Well, coaching in general, the coaching and stuff has been going on a little bit longer than that. But in regards to the cosmology coaching, it was imperative for me personally to get it going there, with everyone, simply because so many people, so many people literally just, they're facing so many different trials and tribulations in their lives, and they don't know where to go, what to do, and don't even really understand themselves in the process. So, we're definitely here to help you in that process. I'm definitely here to help you in that process because we'll have a lot of questions about life, but it's important to know the ones that really matter. But I hope everybody's good, though. It's Sunday. I figured it'd be a good day for the bros. Everybody's here. Everybody got things to do. So it is not going to be a long meeting at all. But it's just to really, I hope everyone is also on the email list as well, because it's really just to go over, if you pay attention to the emails, what I'm talking about in the cosmology coaching, and why getting to know yourself on this level is such an important thing for you to do. Today, what we're going over for the most part isn't everything, because quite frankly, some of you guys who've been on these calls with me, the cosmology calls before, y'all will see that like you can't get it done in an hour. You can't even get it done in 2 hours sometimes. And the first time all this information hits, it's just like whoosh, over your head, or it's just so much information that if you don't write it down, if you don't really study it, like literally go back to it in a very often occasion, you're really going to miss a lot of the information completely. So, it's definitely something that you want to go and study and go over again and really engage yourself into, because if you don't, you're going to miss it, because like we've all been operating according to this, that, and the next. We've learned how to live a life that our mothers and our fathers and our environments taught us to live, and learning how to live for ourselves according to like a higher theme. And the higher theme is not just like your individual purpose that you make up your mind that you're about. It's about your design that I'm going to be explaining to you a little bit more here. And it's a big deal, because if you've got 30 years of learned behavior versus an hour or two of coaching about how you should operate, man, the 30 years is going to win. You know what I'm saying? The 30 years is going to win. So like, a big part of what we do here and everything that I talk about is something called deconditioning, really deconditioning yourself from everything that you've learned and how you've learned things, and then just really start working according to your own conditions, working according to your design. And that's what's most important more than anything else, is just being on that designs level. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Cosmology Design, Intro to Cosmology Design. And welcome, everyone. And as usual, if you have any questions about anything, you can always reach me at heartonbreak.com or heartonbreak@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to hit me up when it comes to any questions that you may have in this process or anything that we're talking about. And, I don't expect that everybody is a master of sciences and done a lot of astrology or various other sciences, but what I do expect is for you to just see the correlations that's tied in between these things, so that way you can get it for yourself and learn it for yourself. So this is what it is basically. And I'm definitely looking forward to going over most of this with you. And of course, I am Nakada. If you don't know me, then I don't know what you're doing here. Author of Heart on Break, of course. And, I really enjoy the work that I'm doing. I never really knew what was going to come of this, you know, in regards to writing the book. Real talk, I didn't know what to expect. And so people ask me all the time, like, how and why and how the book came about. You know, it was a combination of disappointment and anger with myself initially, and the way that it poured out was in a systematic kind of way. You know, so everything that I talk about, even some of the stuff that I talk about, I'm still like trying to grasp how that matters, where that came from, because sometimes information comes to you and you don't know where it's coming from. But that's part of the reason why we're doing this, what we're doing today, understanding your cosmology, understanding your birth chart, and various other esoteric means of knowing yourself. So that way you can understand why certain messages came to you, where you can understand why certain things happen to you, because it's all a part of the design. You know, it's not the whole, everything happens for a reason. We're going to learn how to pinpoint, you know, well, when we go deeper in sessions, we're going to learn how to pinpoint exactly why you're attracting what you're attracting. So as usual, this is definitely about you. And, you know, it's so much about you because, you know, unless you're a twin, you're literally born by yourself. You know, there's nobody else that should be in control of your life. Nobody else should be managing it. And so when you look at this, like a lot of people, you know, back in the day, we used to say you get some information and the first thing you try to do is go out there and teach it to others. This is not necessarily something that you teach to others so easily. This is something that takes time to internalize. You know, I'm working with people, and sometimes it takes 6 months to a year of studying and just really learning how to operate. And, you know, you could do it on your own, but having others help you is most important. So that way, for the most part, you don't get distracted. You know, you don't get distracted at all, because the distractions, they are the easiest things to happen, you know, in the process for us. So this is definitely about you. And one of the things I like to always include and tell people is that if you see this photo here, this is that Leonardo da Vinci stuff. This is medieval times. This is a few hundred years ago. You know, the science of self is not a new science. There's nothing about what I'm talking about and introducing to you today that's remotely even new. It's not. None whatsoever. So it's just one of these things that has been, for the most part, hidden from us in this society with the conquests of various different places and various different worlds and lands. Don't think that they just came and found artifacts and that was it. You know, there were books, there were texts, there were ancient texts from various different lands that are still compiled and or guarded like, you know, high secrets. And these things that Leonardo da Vinci was talking about back in his days, it has a lot to do with what we're talking about today. But of course, it's huge. It's a big deal. And it's just to show you, you know, you see all of these symbolisms all the time. No one explains it to you. Really don't. You know, that's why people think that most of this stuff is occultic and this, that, and the next. And it probably is. But occult means nothing except for, you know, what it means is hidden. And so, you know, this stuff shouldn't be hidden from you. It should be a part of how you operate yourself. It should be a part of how you live your life and why you do what you do, really merging yourself into the design within itself. And so these information, they're from different parts of the world, they look differently. You know, so as you can see right here, we've got the chakra system. And in the human design system, you'll see the reference to the chakra systems. And, you know, we're used to accrediting that to the Indian, Brahmin, Hindu culture of the chakras. And we're going to go into that a lot, but it's not just anything like just the chakras and just the energy. We got to learn how these things connect to our whole entire bodies. We got to learn how, you know, like if you look on the left, you see the swirls going up. That's representative of the genetic code. Everybody has a genetic code of which we respond to, a genetic code of which we operate by. And the human design system and the cosmology that we're talking about today definitely goes further into how these things, these energy centers within your body affect how you receive energy from the world and how, you know, you project your energy to everyone else. So it's really, really a big deal when it comes to these things. And we just got to get in harmony with what we got going on here within our individual body systems, because that's why I say it's about you. It really is a personal thing, because this is mechanics. It's not spirituality. Because if you look up the definition of spirituality, or where the word spirit comes from, it comes from, in Hebrew, it's breath. So we're all spiritual beings because we're all breathing. And that's the real connotation of it. But, you know, our glands, as you can see on the right side, there's no coincidence of how these energy chakras correlate with the glands inside of the body, because the glands are always secreting, in many cases, hormones and various other, you know, things that are going on inside of the body that influence how the body behaves. So this is why you guys also hear me talk extensively about health, because we're constantly doing things on the daily to damage these organs, damage these glands, you know. And if your glands are damaged from, let's say, overeating, from drinking too much, from, you know, excessive minerals in your water like fluoride and chlorine, if your glands are damaged, then you won't have the full opportunity to be your best self. I talk about being selfish very often, and I definitely intend for you to see what I mean by selfish in the sense of being about yourself, understanding your biomechanics, your physiology, understanding how your thyroid affects, you know, your throat and your metabolism, your thymus, how your kidneys affect the energy in your body. You see your pancreas there. They don't have the spleen, which is a very, very, very important component as well, nor do they have here lit up the liver. But these energies are within us already. And it's said that the organ energies, just think about organ from church, you know, like it's like a, what do you call it, like keyboard or whatnot. It's making noise. It's having a vibration. The vibration is what is sent out to people. The vibration is what you feel. You call it sound. So all these organs, they have vibrational energy, which is how we got to this chakra system, because the vibrational energy is being felt by people, and you're feeling it yourself based on how you treat yourself. So it's important to really understand these things. A book that I would definitely recommend is by one of the masters, Charles Fillmore, The 12 Powers of Man. And this goes into it from a Christianic perspective, but I think it's a good perspective to go into it as well. You can move beyond, you know, the mundane Christian point of view, because this guy also wrote the book, The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which is huge. If you've ever been into biblical studies on any extensive level, you can't go around this guy. You know, he has Bibles that he has footnotes written in there. This guy is amazing, especially any of those who are Christians or into the field of that. You know, the 12 Powers of Man is talking about these various energy systems, because, you know, in the typical Brahmic Hindu system, chakra system, you're talking about 7 chakras that are highlighted. In the human design system that I work with, you have 9 that are highlighted. And the 12 Powers of Man is talking about 12 different centers. And there are more teachings that say there's a 13th. So there's so much to know, and I definitely don't know it all, but it all correlates. It's all connected. And whether you know it or not has more to do with whether you've been privy to the information. A lot of us haven't, you know, for the most part. So one of the other aspects of this system is the I Ching. Now, I love to talk about this because it is such a big deal in the sense of how the system is. If you're looking at all the patterns, you'll see in the center is what people consider to be the Star of David. You know, notice the word day in David. And you see the circle there, which looks like, you know, the astrology circle on a mandala kind of effect. And what you have in there is hexagram. So the I Ching, when you get into the body graph that you'll see and we'll go over, it comprises of 64 gates. The I Ching, they consider it to be the oldest book, the book of changes. And it's called the book of changes because, you know, these different elements of who we are change. You're not the same as, you know, for example, me personally, when I turned 28, between 28 and 30, shit just changed. I mean, I was just completely different than I was before, and I couldn't understand it. But it's the same thing as when you turn 13 and started growing some chest hair and feeling some hormonal secretions in your body, like things changed. And once things change, you just kind of understand that we go through these cycles of changes. Now, the cycles of changes are heavily dependent on the universe, these universal signals that we have, you know, the stars, the constellations. That's why you call yourself a Pisces. That's all constellation stuff. This is stuff our ancestors have been using in their understanding of themselves for thousands and thousands of years. This is nothing new. It's just new to us for the most part, but it's nothing new. But once you learn how to put it all together, because, you know, on the real, like, you would literally have to read all these books to have an understanding. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Maybe you should. But the sciences that we're trying to do, we're trying to bridge the gap and make it easier for people to understand who they are versus having to struggle through what life says that you should be, who you should be, and various other things. Because, you know, those who want to control you, they want to control you. They have a motive for that. They absolutely do. And if you're not with the motive, then you need to do what you got to do to get away from that. So it's very important. So you'll see these signs almost everywhere, you know, because we are connected to everything in the universe. You know, it's just learning about how you in particular are connected to it and what kind of energies that you carry with you is very, 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 very important, because we're constantly initiating, responding, and projecting on each other. And we need to learn how to do it in accordance to ourselves. Because if we don't, then let's say, for example, somebody that I work with, he's constantly responding to what I like to call wolf cries. People say, hey, you know, I got a certain amount of money for you to do this. He starts the job, does the job without even assuring that he's going to get paid for the job. There are people that do these things, and now it's such a habit to him. But how does he learn to understand how to respond to the right things? What is he going to do to better understand himself so that way he doesn't get played? You know, so these are the things that, you know, really, really go into this whole process of knowing yourself. And we're talking about knowing yourself on a biophysical level, like I said. So we're going to go into more of the human design system and how it is generated through the body. Here you'll see the 9 centers. And these 9 centers are very, very important, very, very important, because it's that understanding of how, you know, energy travels through you. Because, you know, we have these glands that we talked about, and they connect with energy centers. And then, you know, you got your blood going. You know, you've got various cells and organisms going on in your body. This is major. And what it means is that we're a circulatory system. We know this. And even all the greatest scientists in the world would tell you straight up that almost everything on the physical plane is reflective of the human body within itself. Even a car, an internal combustion engine, the way fluids circulate from one place to the vehicle, of the vehicle to the next. You know, the way you turn it on and you turn it off, and the way it's supposed to be operated. Everything reflects us. And we're that magnificent. That's why this information is really held from us at such a high level, for you not to really understand who you are in this. Because the stuff is so old, people keep it away from us. They don't use it or give it to us except little at a time. You know, every 100 years or so, some of these ancient texts are being revealed to people, and revealed to certain people, not everybody. You know, and we'll talk about some of those certain peoples and moving forward. But let's look and start at the top of the body, which is the head center or the crown center. One of my teachers, he loves to talk about the magical wonders of the crown center, and how, you know, we don't even really understand it from even this perspective that's being taught here, how the nodes in the crown are there to receive energy from the universe. So this is very important in how thoughts come to your head, what you think about, how you think about it. And you can see the 3 chambers going from the crown down to what you call the ajna center, or the conceptualization center. So most of us think the head has to do with thinking, and it does. However, it has to do with how information is processed in your center, you know, in your being per se. So now the anja is about conceptualization. It's more about how you process the information or the inspiration that has come to you. And then it goes down to the throat center, meaning that it's like anything else. It's like a delivery system. Some inspiration comes to you, some information comes to you. You conceptualize it, or, go through it in the mind a bit, try to figure it out. And then that process goes from there to the throat, which is to communicate it to the world. Now, some of us are designed to communicate, while some of us are not so big on communication. But one of the essence of communication is manifestation. And that's a huge aspect of everything, because we manifest what we speak. I don't care what it is, bro. Like, I don't care what it is, from the car that you have, from the shirt that you have on, to the color of the walls in your house. You went through a process of deciding, or going through the inspiration process, going through the thinking process of how to get it done. And then once you started talking it, you started speaking it into existence. And this is such a powerful thing, because once you learn to be in the moment with these kind of things, then you will see how, when you said to yourself, oh man, it's going to be a great day, and it turns out to be a great day. When you said to yourself, oh man, I hope that car doesn't come this direction, and it does. You are constantly attracting things. And some of the things that are spoken in your mind, they're almost as good as being spoken out, verbally to others. But speaking out verbally to others is a form of manifestation. And that's why people are always talking so damn much, even out of place, because they're looking for this power to manifest. And if they don't have this power to manifest, a lot of people will feel powerless. So the throat is very, very important. Very, very important. Just like, you've got the thyroid there that manages the metabolism and also manages the body temperature and various other things. This is an important center. And when you learn your design, whether your throat or various other centers that you see here, they're all empty here. They're all white, means that it's not defined. And once you get into learning your own, and of course you can get your own chart at the jovianarchive.com, Jovian archive.com, and generate your own chart, and it'll tell you a little bit about yourself. So from the throat straight down, you have what you call the G center, or the identity. This is how you perceive like yourself. This is how you show up. Once it's defined for someone, they're pretty much the way they are. So let's say, for example, right, when I'm working with someone, and let's say your wife or someone has an open G center and you have a defined G center, she'll notice that you are the way you are, versus you'll notice that, hey, she's open to a lot more things than I'm open to, because that's the nature of the way we're designed. The design is completely about you and how you operate, and it makes a difference in how you live. So the identity is your sense of self. Everyone, has different levels of sense of self. You'll notice that, because some people are not as confident, some people are not as sure. Everyone is different, because we got different energy compositions, and it's going in different places. And then below that, to the right, you will see the heart, or the willpower center. This is also a very, very crucial and important aspect of this whole system, because the willpower is critical to your ability to move forward. However, like I said, not everything that you see here will be lit up or defined in your personal chart. So you may not have a willpower center that powers you through every time you fall down, or every disappointment in life. Sometimes you may feel like giving up, but guess what? Because we are interconnected beings, interconnected to each other, we depend on others to bring us energies that we don't have. So let's say, for example, you're feeling down about yourself and you're not sure if you're going to quit, and then you don't even know it, but you're in a room with somebody who has a heart center or willpower defined, and all of a sudden you start feeling like, F that, I can do this. I'm going to push through this, and it serves to power you. This is what we do with each other. This is how we operate. We're all interconnected, just like we're connected to the universe. We're connected to each other. So if we don't really understand these things, then we won't know what's moving us. Because sometimes that willpower or that will center, if you're with somebody who has that, they can power you or will you into doing stuff that you don't want to do. They can influence you and push you into directions that you truly don't want to do. And a lot of us, you know, based on some of the guys I see in here, we've spoken before, like you find yourself in situations where you're doing shit that you know you shouldn't be doing. That's an energy play. So once you learn how to understand your own energy body, then you're going to get better and be like, oh, that's not me. Where's this coming from? It's not me. So then we're going to go down to the next center, which is the spleen center. The spleen is very important, very, very important, because in our biochemistry, the spleen itself is responsible for the whole entire immune system and the lymphatic system. And so that's why I always talk about the health, because it's important. You can't be yourself without understanding how you operate. And that's the problem that we have here. The spleen is intuition. It's that survival mechanism. It's in the now. The spleen is that thing that tells you don't turn left. And if you listen to it in that moment, then you're in command of your spleen. Your spleen is telling you. But think about it. How many times have you said to yourself, I shouldn't do that, and you did it anyway, and all hell breaks loose? That was your spleen telling you, bro, don't do it. Don't do it. And you ignored it, because we live in a world where it's easy to ignore our intuition. Well, trust me, man. Ignoring my intuition has cost me 6 figures already. It's crazy, but it really has. You know, when something tells you, it could be coming from various different energies in the body, depending on what kind of energy body you have. However, but when something definitely tells you don't do it, or go left, or stop, or don't run that light, you know, you've got to pay attention to that. You've got to pay attention to that. And when you do pay attention to that, then you're in harmony with what's going on in the now. See, the spleen, as they would explain it, is one of the oldest or archaic organs in the body, meaning that it was with us when we were evolving from different states of being. They like to say hominoids and various different humans. I'm not going to say monkeys, because I don't believe in that shit. But, you know, we evolved and we get better and we gain, you know, greater access to different things. The spleen's been there for a long, long time. It's that thing that says run when it's time to run. It's that thing that says hide. And it's also that thing that says stand up and fight if you need to. So the spleen is definitely important. And, you know, the downside of the spleen, of course, is that the spleen is concerned with your protection, your safety. And so therefore the spleen may bother you when it comes to fears, you know. So it's very important to understand these different things that are happening, because they're all secreting hormones. You know, like, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but, you know, it always talk about Christ being anointed in his head, in his forehead. As you can see in the 12 Powers book that I saw, it says at the top, you see Christ, and they call it Christ oil. And in churches and religious ceremonies, you're anointed on your head. Well, that oil is representative of the secretions that happen from these various organs inside of your body. It drops into the bloodstream and gets carried off like, you know, like a chemical solvent that affects how your whole entire body operates. This is what's going on inside of you, that you're probably not aware of. This is why some things are less important than what you think it is, and some things are more, you know. So next we're going to go through the sacral, the life force center. That's right there, you know, just in the middle of your stomach. And of course, think about it, man. Think about this. Ain't nobody in this room right now that wasn't born with an umbilical cord attached to them, coming right from that area. That's that life force. That's the real genetic blueprint right there, guys. This is why, again, you'll hear me like a broken record, repeating all of the correlations that are important. The sacral is important because guess what? 99% of the DNA can be found, or 98, in the gut. How is that? How is that? We're so mind heavy. We're so thought heavy. We're so feelings heavy. But 99% of our 98% of our DNA can be found there, because that's the source of life right there. So you'll find that once you start doing your charts and start understanding it a little bit more, the sacral is about that life force energy that powers you. It's the gate. It's the center of the generator. And it powers everybody through. We depend on these people. These are the people who have the energy to do things that people like me can't do. I'm not about to be working 15 hours a day for 7 days a week. I can't do it. I could do 15 hours a day for maybe 2 or 3. That's it. And now that I understand the way that I operate, I don't have that. I don't have that life force energy coming from that area. I depend on others to help me push through these type of things. So it's that generating force. It's like when a hurricane comes and knocks out and you need a generator, the sacral energy is what powers us. We need these people with this center. Like the world depends on you. The world depends on you. So we're going through these energy centers simply just to see, because whether you like it or not, you're composed of this. Biophysically, physiologically, you're composed of this. You feel this energy. And if you don't take care of yourself, some of these energies, like I said, they're correlated and connected to the glands. So if you're not taking care of yourself, your life force energy coming from your soul, your center, your gut, if you're not eating properly, if you're eating foods that you're not supposed to eat, and then it's not digesting. When it doesn't digest, you know what it does? It passes through the lining of the intestines and back into the blood and causes problems. So that's what's so important about every aspect of how you conduct yourself. Now, to the left, to the right, we have the solar plexus. The solar plexus energy deals with the emotions. I've got a friend, she's a solar plexus dominant person. Everything is about feelings. Everything is about the vibration of how I feel. And you got these people that are like this, and if you don't have this center, if you're not activated or defined in this area, you don't understand why everything had to do with feelings, and why your emotions, why their emotions are so important. Or you don't even also understand how, when you're in the presence of people who have these definitions, how they're literally impacting and influence you on an emotional level. You find yourself feeling shit that you did not feel 5 minutes around before this person entered the room. This is real stuff. I remember about 12 years ago, I was in some class and they were like, they can prove to you that people are affected by the thoughts of others that are not even expressed. And I've seen that to be true. The solar plexus has a lot to do with that, because it's not just thoughts, it's also energy, and everything here is definitely energy based. So we're talking about our ability to really go into the feelings of others, magnify the feelings of others, process the feelings and the emotions, and then move them into a response based on your strategy and your authority. So we'll get into strategy and authority a little bit later in regards to this. And the titles are here, like human design, I Ching, and various other keywords. Pay no attention to that. You were born with this. Whether you learn and understand it or not, you have all these energy centers within your body. So this is you. And then we'll go down to the root. The root is that stress or that fuel for being. And the root is where we all get pretty effed up in this life, because what happens is we're living in a world that is not focused on this. It's focused on survival. And the root itself is a survival instinct along with the spleen. It's about, the stress of surviving and making it in this world, the feeling of being grounded. The root is also what they consider a motor. So it sends energy up. So if you understand any of the chakra stuff, that starts at the root chakra and goes up, well, the root is like a pump. And so for men, you got to understand, this is why your prostate is so important, because nobody tells us this. However, your prostate is almost like a second heart. It's pumping energy all the way up. Look at those 3 channels going up. It's pumping energy all the way up. You get what I'm saying? This is important. So these, if you've never looked at the chakra systems from this perspective before, it's something for you to consider, because you got that energy. You got that energy within you. It's not changing. It's not going anywhere. And you need to be able to just really manage it and learn how to live with it. So that way you can learn how to conduct yourself according to your design. So that's an overview of all the centers inside of the body from this perspective. We're not going any further than the 9. We're not going to 12 and 13. That's advanced stuff. We're not going to go into that right now. But, when you get into the human design also, if you've done your chart, and a couple people have sent me their chart. I told you guys to send me your charts if you wanted to go over a little bit here in the class. But, most of this will be explained to you anyways. You get a profile number. So the 6th line, and it's all considered lines, as you can see there. That's why a line is next to everyone. So the 6th is the role model. The 5th line is the heretic. The 4th line is the opportunist. The 3rd line is the martyr or the experimenter. The second line is the Hermit, and the first line is the Investigator. So what it is, right? This is, and at the bottom where it says lines 1 through 3 are intrapersonal, and lines 4 through 6 are transpersonal. This matters because you got some folks, right, that they're about their thing. They're about their life. No matter what they do, it's about them. And if you don't understand that these intrapersonal people are not necessarily here to, impact the world or be out there on Front Street, then you won't understand somebody. You've got to be able to accept these people, and they'll seem highly selfish, highly narcissistic. And of course, when people are not really operating according to their design, they're subject to the dark side of everything. There's nothing here that doesn't have a light side and a dark side. Lines 4 through 6 are more transpersonal, meaning that these people work with others better. Their energy is designed to impact, influence, and attach to others. Whereas the intrapersonal 1 through 3 lines are more like, this is for me. This is what I got to do. This is how I'm showing up in the world. This is how it's going to be. It's different. And we've got to learn how to respect everybody's various different energy centers, because if you don't really learn how to operate within yours, you'll find yourself struggling to be somebody you're not. For example, the role model is the person that people may look to as a standard bearer, and if that person can't accept that people are always looking at you to be the person to hold a standard and to do things right, and you might get frustrated and be like, why the hell do I always have to be the bigger person? Whereas, let's say the Investigator, he may be more so in it for himself, and nobody's ever asking him to be concerned about everybody else. He likes that life, and some people may want him to be. But in the same sense, right, if you are an intrapersonal person that's here on your path, almost specifically for your own self, it's gonna feel a lot of pressure if people are always trying to force you to do something that you don't want to do. So these numbers and these lines are really here for you to understand how your energy shows up, because they're pretty accurate. Your energy shows up according to a certain order, and you got to learn it. And so that way you can manipulate your own energy versus having to manipulate others and not gain anything from it. So now in the human design system, we've got different types. And so the type here that's composed of the majority of the people here in the world is the generator, which is 70% of the population. Now, what's interesting about it is this 70%, like I said before, you see the red in the middle, that's that sacral center, that life force energy that I was telling you about earlier, right? This energy, we don't do nothing without the generators. The world is nothing, right? It goes nowhere without the generators. These are the people who have the ability, let's say in the last 100 years, the majority of the people who were on the job for 35, 40 years and retired from there, they're generators. But they have two different kind of generators. They have the generator, which is the typical generator. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see one with the little triangle with 21. That's the heart or the will center. And then you will find that they have the manifesting generator, which is like a hybrid version of the generator. You'll find that the typical generator is more reserved. They're more about mastery. Tony Robbins is a generator. They have a lot of great people who do great things who are generators. Generators need to be left do what they want to do and master it. If they're not working on something that really lights them up and is really about, unfolding their life's purpose, they're not going to be as happy. While the manifesting generator, which is the hybrid version of the generator, is more like the guy that has more ideas, can do 300 things at the same time. And you're looking at him like, yo, I don't even understand how you have 6 jobs and 3 children and you pay attention to everything and you do it all. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to understand the difference in types, because let's say if you're a projector or a different aura type, right? And these things, they are embedded in your aura. These things govern how you govern yourself. And so it's an open aura with these people. And their, you know, their strategy though is that the strategy, everyone has a strategy, as you'll see later on when I go through all the types, is to respond. And what that means is that, you know, when you look at the center, right, the sacral life force energy, things have to come in to the generator, and the generator has to process it carefully, so that way they can make the proper response. When a generator is not operating within themselves, you will see that they're not responding properly, or they're responding wrongly. Like I said, I got a friend that I've been working with for a while. He responds to false alarms. You know, at some point, if you keep responding to the boy who cried wolf every single time, and you're going to get tired. You're going to get tired of doing that. And then you're not going to have the energy to respond to what you're supposed to respond to. And that's indicative of not just the generator, but also the manifesting generator, who may be overly responsive to a lot of stimuli, because you have these people who can really do a lot of things. And so, like I said, there's nothing about this that is good that doesn't include the bad. So their signature is satisfaction. You'll find that these people, you know, they do a good job in whatever they do. You know, I've coached a few generators before. Some guys who like can really work and become masters and get better at what they're doing. You know, that's the generator type. Their signature is satisfaction. Once they are in tune to something, they learn how to do it to a satisfaction. However, when they're not in tune with themselves, when they don't understand what kind of energy is going on through their bodies, when they don't understand who they are, frustration kicks in, and this frustration can eat away at them. Like it's a level of frustration that occupies their mind. They dwell on things, you know. It feels like anger, but I like to say anger feels a little bit better than frustration, because anger usually bursts out. You can get angry and go kicking the door or something like that. Not saying it's right, but you can get angry and find yourself in a position where you can express that and feel a lot better. Frustration, if it's built up over a period of time, it's very stressful. These people will find themselves in a situation where stress hormones are eating away at their bodies. It's very, very important not to get caught up. So these are the things that you'll find out once you do your chart. I hope you went to Jovian Archive and looked at your chart. And like I said, feel free to email me your chart. And if, we can go over things. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it on this time around, but we'll do it on another call. But the generator is the majority of the population. They are the world's workforce. We depend on generators to show up every day for us, to do the things that we're not going to do, that everyone's not going to do. Then you have the projectors. The projectors, they're unique. They're 20% of the population. So with this, the generator and the projector, we're already at 90% of the population. Now, if you're familiar with some of these teachings from various different psychologists like Freud and, Carl Jung, who's been very, very impactful, these kind of information, they've processed them into archetypes. If you're familiar with my work, I talk about archetypes a lot because I think archetypes matter. So some of these types in this system here correlate with the archetypes that are out here. It's 20% of the population, the projector. And the projector is the person who is he's the person who can work well with others. You penetrate into other people's energy. People feel you. You can talk to other people get you. You can communicate with different types, because everybody doesn't really do things the same way. However, the projector, I would like to say that these people are pretty brilliant in general. They're very savvy. That their issue is their strategy involves waiting for the invitation. Waiting for the invitation for some people is not an easy thing to do. Waiting to be recognized before you speak is not an easy thing to do. And so therefore, when projectors go into, a cycle of speaking out of terms and doing things without getting an invitation, without being called upon, offering their information, offering things that people never asked for, even if they're telling you the truth, even if they're telling you what's best for you, no one wants to hear it if it's out of position. And let's just be real. Nobody likes the truth anyways. If you're familiar with the book by Robert Greene, The Laws of Human Nature, go get that. I listened to that a year before last, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to be selective on who I tell the truth to, because People will hate you for the truth. And that's the truth. And so if your strategy is to wait for the invitation, wait till somebody asks you for the truth before you offer it. These things are important, because by saying, let's say, speaking out at a meeting, whether you're a projector or whomever, speaking out at a meeting at work, right? And you tell some truth, and the truth offends the manager, you could lose your job, even though it was the truth. So waiting for the invitation is key for the projector. Their aura is focused and absorbent, which means that they can focus on things where, they can penetrate and absorb the energies of others and move things through. They're like HR manager, like the HR manager. You never know who the HR manager's side is on. You never know. You never know. They could be in the room with the boss or the managers talking bad about you, like, yeah, we're gonna fire his ass pretty soon. And then they come out and you have a meeting with them, and they're like, yeah, man, we really want you to get this. And this is the projector. They're here to make you feel good, and their signature or their light side is success. They want to set others up for success, and this is why it's so important to have good relations if you're a projector, so that way you can not only execute success for yourself, but also execute success for others that are in your energy field. But they're not self-themed now. As I can say, you can see all of this is bitterness. Man, a bitter projector will hold on to some shit forever, and it'll literally damage them internally. So like, energy is what we're talking about here, right? So therefore, emotions come down to be a vibration or an energy. And if it's sitting in the wrong place within your system, if it's just working within you or working at you, working against you, it's going to damage something. It's going to damage one of these organs that you looked at earlier, and not give it the ability to do what it's supposed to do. Because on some advanced level stuff, when we go into different things, we can diagnose the various different emotions or feelings and vibrations that are coming from various organs inside of the body. When they're not being themselves, they'll notice that they're bitter about a few things or a lot of things. And it's a very dangerous position to be. Nobody wants to be in their not self theme, because this world is really driving you to be in your not self theme. And then you've got the manifester. There's one more type after this. You got the manifester. The manifester is a different kind of energy. It's 9% of the population. And their strategy is to inform. And they're here not only just to inform others, but to be informed themselves. So when you notice a manifester, you will know that a manifester is bringing information to you. It's giving you an opportunity to see something perhaps that you never saw before, or you're giving information to the manifester. You could be the projector or what have you, and giving them information. So you'll find that we get our information in various different ways. It could be from the internet. It could be from somebody. Now, you just know that the manifesting energy is one that is here to inform you. Their aura is closed and repelling. And what that means is that the manifestor aura is not somebody that lets you in necessarily. If they don't want you inside their life, they're not going to let you in. They'll repel you. And, I know about this because this is my type. Like, if I don't let people in, if I don't want them in, and it doesn't matter how much they bang on the door, I'm not letting you in. And the other thing is, it's a repelling aura in the sense of sometimes it naturally repels things, naturally repels people. People are not necessarily going to just think, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go mess with this guy today. They don't necessarily do that. So because that aura is repelling. And so the signature of the manifestor is peace. The manifestor wants peace on earth. That wants to give you information to make sure you live peaceful. Wants everybody to get along. Even if they don't even know how to do that, they want peace. And of course, the shadow side of that is anger. The manifestor, once things are not going, and once he's not operating according to his strategy, he can be an angry mofo. And that, he can be the tyrant king, the person that, kills everybody because somebody messed with him, or he got upset for a day, or makes a decision that affects a lot of people, and it was purely made out of anger. These are the type of things that you got to be mindful of. So when you find people blowing up and, you know, and going through different things, bitter and angry, you can look to yourself after learning some of this information and say, huh, okay, this is according to your type. And the last and most unique is the 1% of the population, which is called the reflector. Reflectors, man, they're special people. I honestly haven't really met them like that. Like, I've heard of them, I've never met them. They operate based on the lunar cycle, meaning that their strategy is to go within the cycles of the earth, the universe. They go with the moon, you know. So every 2 weeks you got a full moon, another 2 weeks you got a new moon. Various different things are happening in the universe with that. These folks are very in tune to that because they have no definitions, as you can see there, from in any of their energy bodies, right? There's no definition in there. So they're here to basically reflect back to you and others in the world what you are feeling, what you're going through, and serve as that board of reflection to help you see yourself. So there are resistance and sampling, which means that because they're open to trying everything. They're going to sample everything, and they have the right to resist what is not for them. And their signature is surprise. So you may find a few people. I can't tell you the last time I find somebody who really wants to surprise me all the time. You know, it's a different kind of person, and you're not necessarily going to meet very many of these people, 1% of the population. So it just means that basically 1% of your circle will be this type of person. But you learn how to look out for these energies. You learn how to be mindful from these energies because, like I said, everybody's got something to give to you, whether you like it or not. And when we get into that on the deeper level, you'll learn a lot more about how exactly everyone's contributing to who you are and who you're becoming, in the sense of, okay, this person has this particular energy. He's got some willpower that actually helps me get up off my ass and do my work. They got the life center, you know, that helps me stay focused on my job and this, that, and that. This is what we're here to do. We're here to impact each other on this level. We're here to move each other into different spaces and different realms of understanding. Never let it feel, never be mistaken about that. However, once you learn how to operate based on how you're supposed to operate, what you do is you stop allowing people to impact you in a way that is not according to you. You don't want to be angry if you're a manifestor. You don't want people in your life that make you angry, because guess what? The thing about it is, if you're not, you know, you're, let's say, a manifestor, anger, you got a projector, bitterness. Listen, you can't help this. You can't help these other sides. Like I said, the pendulum swings both ways. So the reflectors not self theme is disappointment. They may linger in a level of disappointment like you've never seen before. These folks can't necessarily help it. However, what they can do is minimize, what you can do is minimize who you bring into your energy space that allows for you to be in your not self theme. And that's your dark side. And listen, on the other hand, I definitely feel like dealing with your not self is learning how to live and deal in your dark side. So here's my chart, guys. I'm going to start off here, and we're going to go into just a little bit here with some other folks. Like I said, I'm a manifestor. I'm a 6-2 manifestor. That's the role model and the hermit. In the head, you can see I have 2 channels up there. The black is indicative of what is consciously aware of, things that I can manage myself. What is red is a part of my embedded design of who I am and who I'm becoming. So it's less conscious to me when I'm young, more conscious to me as I get older. I have a few channels here. When you see something going from one connection to the next, that's called a channel. When you see it just sticking out and then the other half of it is white, that's just the gate. These are the gates that are embedded in the I Ching that we discussed earlier. I'm not going to go over everything in my chart, but I'm a pretty open person, as you can see. I only got 3 defined centers, and that works for me. And I've learned to understand it, because I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, I don't have much definition and this, that, and that. Man, none of that matters. Once you learn how to do yours and learn how to read yours and whatnot, because there's so many different levels to it. I'm basically explaining to you the basics of it right now in regards to how let's say what you can do at home without any help from me, by just generating a chart, and looking more into it on your own and learning these different things. And so it's heavy study for anybody who wants to do that. And that's why I do what I do in working with people. But all these gates are indicative of energies. All these gates are indicative of how you receive and how you impact people. So let's say, for example, as a manifester, I have, if you look in the heart center in the middle, right? That's a gate that everybody's been telling me. It's called it's the gate of the egotist, and also the salesman gate. Ever since I was a teenager, everyone was always telling me, bro, like, you can sell anything. You know, people used to make fun of me. They called me not to be derogatory to anyone who may be Jewish, and they used to call me a Jew. Ironically, my father comes from that persuasion, his mother and family anyway, so it's no diss to me or no diss to anyone else. But they would always say, you're always bargaining, and that was my thing. Even in school, I was a salesman, always selling something. My jobs prior to doing what I do now was always in corporate sales. I was always surrounded around business and finances and making money and going out there. I mean, I used to make a lot of money on just sitting at a desk, calling people and emailing people and going for sales. But see that it's red, right? So that's an unconscious design. So as a younger guy, I didn't really understand that. People would just say, and I'm like, okay, I'm good at sales. Okay, if you say so, just as long as I get paid, I'm good. But I had to, as I got older, and what you'll find within yourself too, as you get older, is you move past your Saturn return of 28 and through 30, where everything's a bit blurry, and you get into your later 30s, mid 30s, and your 40s. What is read within your chart or your design becomes more conscious to you, becomes more aware to you, and so it's become more aware to me that I have this in here. But it also has a shadow side. The 26 that you see going down to 44, there's a lot of fear in there. There's a lot of, there's a potential to be a trickster or a manipulator. That's all energy that's there. So even if I'm not per se a trickster or a manipulator, I have the energy in it. And I may run across somebody who may feel that energy from me, not even if it's not expressed. So, what you're doing when you learn these systems is that you're learning to own what you got. So that way, when you walk into a room and you see somebody turn and look at you in a particular way that you like, what energy that you're bringing to the room that they're attracting. And then the same thing when you walk into a room and somebody turns and look at you in a particular way that's a turn off, or you don't like, or they don't like you, you understand what energy that you're bringing to make this person not like you, and you accept it, and you don't try to be friends with them. You don't try to be cool with them. Or if it's a person that likes your energy, you don't have to try that hard. You don't have to look for their approval. They just like you. It just clicks, and it happens like that. And it's all based on these energies. So a couple people who got back to me, who responded to the email and said, I told them, get your chart, send it to me, and we'll be able to go over a little bit, and we can move forward into deeper lessons, other than that. So that's just a little bit about my chart here. I don't consider my chart the most interesting. I'm a heavy thinker chart, and in actuality, I find it more interesting when I'm working with others and looking at their design, because even in my particular work, I show you my chart, what you got to understand also is that every gate that you see that is not connected to the next gate is emanating the energy to attract others like that. So it's almost like, for example, if you find yourself with a woman, right? And you don't understand what is it about her. You don't understand why you're constantly going back to her, or why you're constantly attracting women like her. This can show you. It means that, let's say, for example, there's another half of you that she has, and you guys connected very well, or you guys are consistently being connected. So that energy, it's literally undeniable, bro. It's not an energy that you get to choose who you're attracted to. Like 10 years ago, I did some studies, and and it was called sexual communication, sexual attraction, social dynamics. And one of the things that was taught was that attraction is not a choice. You don't get to choose who you're attracted to. You're attracted to who you're attracted to because of these energy systems that we're talking about here. You get what I'm saying? So it's big business to really understand yourself and what you're attracting, so that way you can know, because sometimes you're attracting an opposite side of you that's combustible. I've looked into this with my daughter's mom, and I'm like, wow, we've got some energy here that explains why we could not get along. And that's how it is sometimes. It doesn't mean that we can't get along in the sense of in a humane kind of way. It just means that this particular energy or these particular energies, if both of us are not in harmony to understand ourselves, because a lot of people want to know themselves, right? And then go back to somebody who don't know themselves and think that it's going to work out. It ain't going to work out like that. It just isn't, so you got to be mindful. So the reason for being mindful is because once you become a little bit mindful and the energies are doing what they're doing, then you can be like, okay, calm down. Not right now. You can meter out what's going on with you. So, and that's important. So yeah, I got Ken here. And Ken, he sent me his chart, and we're going to talk a little bit about Ken's chart here. And so, for example, right, Ken is a generator, and Ken's profile is what you call the 3-5. The 3-5 is a very, very interesting profile. And it's a single definition. These are things we'll go through, on one-on-one calls, and we're not going through all of that. But the generator, we already understand what the generator is. And then you see all the Ken's lines there. So when I look at Ken's line, right, I think about my compatibility with Ken, like, what kind of energy that we can make together. Like if Ken and I were friends, or, just in general, what attracted my work. Ken would think that, okay, maybe he saw me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the case is. But in reality, there's energy in Ken's chart that is reaching out to my energy. And the same thing for Ken in his relationships with his mother, his girlfriend, his brother. Everybody has complementary and companion energies. So I already see a few things inside of Ken's chart that makes sure, that shows me, okay, yeah, like me and Ken will get along because this, that, and that. So Ken is a sacral being, right? And he's also open being. So Ken, for example, may not be, you see where the throat is, he doesn't have a defined throat. So what that means is that Ken may not necessarily be the type of person who's upfront, who's always talking in the room, who always has something to say. Ken usually, in this case, may actually find himself more talkative when he's around somebody who actually has a defined throat center. And so that's what happens when you're around people with definitions. So when the more open definitions that you have inside of your chart, it means that those people who have the defined centers that come around you are constantly impacting and influencing the way you respond to others. And it's important. So Ken has one of the gates in the top of his head and down in the bottom. So we already know that Ken is a thinker. And the way Ken processes information can be seen there. I could tell by Ken's chart that Ken's a good listener, and people, based on gate 13 in the identity center, that people feel like they want to tell Ken things. But you see, since Ken doesn't have, let's say, a defined throat center, right? Ken also has gate 45, which is like this, is a very kingly energy. Ken, not a lot of people are going to know this, right? Because maybe Ken doesn't speak up and Ken's not the loudest voice in the room, but Ken has the ability to speak for everyone. Ken has the ability to speak for the tribe, for everyone's benefit, what's good, and Ken may not know this, but he may not know this based on other people, but he may know it intuitively. So these are energies that we all have within us. Ken has the defined spleen center. So when you have a defined spleen center, a lot of fears run through your energy. A lot of different fears, because I have it too. And he also has gates coming from there. He's got Ken, I could tell already. Ken is a very moral person. He has great values, and the values that he uses are like the things that, let's say, at his job that can actually people look up for the fact that, okay, he's not going to take advantage of this. He's not going to go over and do things that he's not supposed to do. See, and then with Ken here, Ken has another channel down there from the root to from the sacral to the root, which is the channel of mutation. I was just discussing that with a client yesterday. And Ken also has, different energies here that, man, we would just have to sit and talk about it. But the mutation energy here, Ken, is that you have the ability to transmute energy for what's going to change the world. And now people may say, okay, well, you may say that to everybody. Not really. Everybody has different energies, for sure. But what it is that when you learn what kind of energy that you have, that's going to actually help you serve your purpose, it's different, because somebody else can have the same energy as you in certain ways. Let's say Cain has gate 3 to 60. That's when I'm talking about the channel of mutation. And then Cain has gate 9, which is the channel of order. And so I bet that he's a very orderly person, very focused person who can focus on one thing at a time. And I know that to be the truth for generators, they can focus on one thing at a time. And I bet also, and Ken will probably email me after this and say, this, that, and whatever, because he got a lot of different stuff here. Like I said, it's just not something when we're approaching our time that we're going to necessarily go over in detail, because I got another person's to do as well. But Ken just needs to understand the dominant energies in his chart. Once you understand your dominant energies in your chart, you learn to become more confident in how you operate with others. So, the focusedness that we're talking about, the ability to mutate into different things, the gate 5 that I see here, all these different things we talk about. So Ken, he may suffer from a little bit of fearfulness, but Ken's got to listen to his intuition. He's got to listen to his intuition. He definitely has to listen to his intuition, because it's going to always be talking to him. He's a sacral being, meaning that his authority comes from that red dot in the middle. And many of us will, since 70% of us are generators, will have a similar configuration as Ken. So with the strategy as a sacral being, you got to intake things. You can't just be responding, because, your strategy is to respond, but you have to respond through your energy, meaning that you got to process it. You got to process it before you respond, because if you make the wrong response, that's when you end up effed up. That's when you end up in situations where, like, damn, why did I do that? And it was you made that response. So you just really got to understand how to take things in. And the 3-5 profile is usually a very personal profile, especially in the first 30 years of their life. And then it turns into, the 5. The 3 is the martyr or the experimenter. So listen, Ken, you've been through a lot of shit, and a lot of that stuff has affected you. The worst thing you can do is to dwell on it. Your life, based on your 3-5 profile, is about moving beyond every hiccup that you have in life. Whereas there are other people who can dwell on things. You're not designed to dwell on it. You're designed to move, because the 3 represents, the personality that people see. The 5 represents the unconscious design that people don't see, but not that people do see, but you are not so aware of. So the 5 is the heretic. And the heretic is that person that moves from here to there teaching. The heretic is that person that universalizes stuff. Ken has the ability to get this information, and as he gets older, into, let's say, his late 30s and 40s, become a spiritual teacher. So, you got to really learn these different things. And then you have the incarnation cross. These are other things that we can go over. But you learn how to move towards your strategy for the purpose of living the life that you're supposed to live. Your real birthday is the real code of your life. It's nothing else. And then we're going to move to Michael. Michael is a 6-2 projector. 6-2 like myself. His inner authority is splenic like myself. So we've got a lot in common here. He's a clairvoyant person. And now look at his definitions. You see in the top, he's got the yellow in the mind center, and he's got a gate going straight down. I can already tell that he's a big thinker, mysterious kind of person. He's got answers. He knows things that a lot of people don't really understand, and he doesn't even know how he knows certain things. But he's also a very opinionated person, and that shit gets him in trouble. See, now, this is how I'm gonna help you, Mike. As a projector, your strategy is to wait for the invitation. So you got a lot of information, bro. I can already see there. You got a lot of information. You got a lot that you can share with others. However, if you're not giving it to people when they're inviting you to share it with them, it's not going to be received very well. You also got a gate of salesman in there. Your spleen is, like for all splenic people, I say that, and that's the yellow diamond in the left. Take care of what you eat. Take care of your food. Take care of your wellness, because the spleen governs the immune system. And I'm going to say this also: chew your food properly, because the spleen within the physiological dimension is right there next to the stomach and is responsible for digesting the food. So therefore, before and the spleen governs the pushing out of the nutrients. So you eat the freaking pineapple, and then the spleen says, okay, I'm going to send this vitamin C and this vitamin A down to here and these different places. It's important. And then, like I said about the spleen within itself, you got to trust your instincts. Your instincts are going to speak to you only in the now. It's going to say, don't go there. And you got to listen to that stuff. And so there's a lot of pressure being a 6-2, because that's the role model people are looking for. And then you have that other side, which is the 2. And that side of you is the hermit that wants to stay in the house. And the older you get, the more you feel like you want to be left alone. So, you got to learn how to manage these energies and learn how to basically project yourself, because as a projector, you have the ability to work with everyone. You have the ability to work with a lot of different types to accomplish great things. However, when you find yourself stepping out of boundaries and starting things that you're not supposed to start, you're not waiting for the invitation, offering your endless ideas and opinions, you got a lot of those. I could see that you have a whole entire channel of ideas, and I could show you how to use that more specifically for your own benefit. When you see, like I said, 2 gates connected going from, one line to the next, those are ones that, everything is important. And everything matters and everything is impactful. But when you have strong energies in different places, it's important to understand what they are, because whether you're aware of them or not, people are feeling them. So people may not like your opinions if you're not putting it in a position that you're supposed to. And then you'll get outcasted. And it's easy to get like that, especially in a world where people hate the truth. And the other thing, unlike Ken, you got the voice box there. So you can say what you need to say, and you should say what you need to say. However, saying it when you need to say it is another thing. Learning and working on your timing is important, Ken. Important, and something for me as well. I think maybe sometimes I'll wait a little bit too long to say what I need to say. But it's to you. It's you basically formatting things the way you're supposed to format things. That's in the best interest of you. So that's just a little bit there, man. Can I see a lot of great stuff here in your chart? You got a defined head center, you got defined anja. So that means that, you are authentic. You're an individual. You are you. People are not pushing you around to be something that you're not. It's just about your timing. And if you can wait for that invitation, you got to work on your craft, and then people will come knocking at the door. They will come knocking at the door, and you will find yourself in a position where you can influence and motivate others. But you have to do it with the right time. You got to wait for that invitation, because when you don't and you jump out on Front Street, that's when you end up embarrassed. That's when you end up in a position that you don't even want to be in the first place. And now you're like, shit, why did I do that? So, and then that leads to the not self theme, which is bitterness, that can just erode at you. And you see, when you have different energies, no matter who you are, when you've got different energies in your system, you got to be able to understand how they're impacting others. If y'all go to, I have a podcast on that I recorded earlier in the month, managing your energy. This is all this is. This is energy management. You're the freaking coach. And all these definitions inside of your system are players. You got some star players, you got some minor players, you got some role players, and you got some guys that can do some spectacular things for you when they're in tune. You got to also be conscious of how other people are impacting you as well as how you're impacting others. But you're the coach. You manage the energies. You learn how the energies impact others. So that way you can actually speed up the process of becoming who you're supposed to be. And then we can go into a lot of other things, but I like to make it really plain for folks because, like I said, you got 64 gates. And if you got 20 of them activated, that's a lot of shit to learn. You want to basically find out where you can take some shortcuts as you continue to study yourself, where you're just moving forward. So guys, I've gone over my hour and, I could probably keep going on and on and on and on, and pretty much everybody that has joined the call is pretty much still here, and I appreciate you guys for being here, man. And, I've worked with some of you guys already on coaching calls, and I've, even Jason, we've spoken about doing the cosmology call the last we spoke. A lot of guys here on the line. This is about you. I'm not here to sell you, foolishness. I'm not here to hype anything up. I'm here to show you some things that have been working for me. It's a combination of various other systems, as you can see in the picture right there. This is about the energy that you possess. This is about the energy that defines you. People are constantly responding and reacting to you. You need to know why. You need to know how. You need to learn how to use it. And trust me, one call ain't gonna do it. You got to get into the studies. That's what the break is about when I talk about in my book. You taking a break is critical to you actually having time to focus on yourself. It's critical. It's very critical. And if you don't do it, depending on what type you are, you're going to constantly be energetically moved by others to doing what others want you to do. Like say Ken, who's the generator, you've got that life force that's working for you, that energy. People want you to do stuff for them. The other guy, people want you to speak to them. People want to hear your sales pitch. People want to hear your ideas when it's the right time. So it's really a management system of your overall body energy. So that way you can get more clear on not just how you, how you show up in the now, but also how all these energy, different compositions inside of you affect what you do, how you do it, how your purpose unfolds based on the energy that you have. This is big deal. This is definitely a big deal. And like I said, guys, I'm not going to be any more long-winded than I have been. I really appreciate that so many of you guys stayed on the call for this period of time. And you can always contact me for these deeper level cosmology coaching sessions that I have. I've got the link here where you can go straight to it right now and get $25 off. If you have any questions, you can definitely hit me up in the chat box right here if you want to go ahead and get one or schedule one. Once you do it, you'll get an email in regards to scheduling the time that we're going to talk, and we can do it over a call like this where it can be recorded so that way you can have it for personal reference. I like to do it that way, and some of the guys that I've done in the last year really wasn't recorded them. So, let's get some follow-up calls in here where we could talk a little bit more about, some of the things that we've done and reviewed before, so that way you can get into the mindfulness of, okay, this is what I got to do. This is how I got to do it. Okay, don't do that. Don't respond to her like that. Don't initiate something that I'm not supposed to initiate. Don't start if you're not a starter. Finish if you're a finisher. Various things like this. And these are just like notes. That's all it is. It's just like an owner's manual for your energy system and how you're impacting and influencing others and how others are impacting and influencing you. It's a big deal so that way you can really understand how. And then you'll find thereafter, this shit connects you to so many different teachings. Like I had no idea that because when I first got introduced to the Kabbalah and various I had no clue, bro. I had no clue what the hell that meant. I don't no clue where it came from. And now when I looked and, I Ching comes from Ifa, comes from this, Kabbalah comes from there too, and and all this information, like you will get confused. You would get confused. Stick to yourself. Stick to your own body energy. Stick to who you are and how you operate, and put in that time. That's the one thing that I'll say that I tell the people that I work with. You know, sometimes you definitely invest some time into it and you get into it, right? And then you leave it alone because you think, you know, don't. It's just, don't leave it alone. I'm not saying that you do it every single day. I wish I did it every single day, but you got to do it often enough so that way you can learn it. Because, bro, this world that we live in, they don't give a shit about us. They don't care if you have the capacity of an engineer. They don't care if you are stuck mopping the floors. They don't. And that's the reason why you learn this information. So that way, if you are the engineer or the visionary and you were convinced to mop floors, that you snap the F out of that and be who you're supposed to be and face the challenge of becoming who you're supposed to be, even if it's not an easy challenge. This is what this is designed to do, to really wake you up. You know, so if you go to the link right there, https://sow.co. I know it's a complicated little link there. I can also put that in the chat room for you guys to go into as well. And you can go ahead and go straight into it and book your call, and I'll definitely get back to you, and we can schedule and we could talk a little bit more. Like I said, it's not a one-time thing, but the one-time thing will be good for starters, especially getting it recorded so that way you can have it for reference. This is definitely a tipping point for many people. You know, I got a lot of people who come back to me and say how much their lives have changed. And sometimes it's with me using this information to coach them and not even going into it on a deeper level. But this is really for the students out here. This is really for those who are really into their self-studies and want to get better at who they are and how they operate. So that's the big deal that we're doing here. That's why we're doing this. And this is the energy that we gotta continue to manifest for ourselves. So if there's anything else, I'm gonna go back into the chat room right now and see if anybody got anything to say. If not, we shall end it. I appreciate you guys for showing up today. If you know, my blog is heartonbreak.com. You can go ahead and check out and listen to some of the podcasts that I've been doing in regards to this kind of stuff and this kind of information. So definitely want to thank you guys for joining us today, you know. Oh yeah, I'm glad, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to move you and show you some of the things that you got going on, bro.
And when you said that, when you was reading it, and you said that, I got so much going on. I do, man. I I just been in a dark place, man. The past 6 years, I've been dealing with a lot of death. I done lost my 2-year-old son, lost my
Oh
mom, I
man,
lost two uncles.
damn, bro.
Man, man.
That's tough, bro. Like that's rough. Shit. So like, I mean, where are you now?
Well, I'm in a lot better place than where I have been, but I'm still hurting, brother.
Right, right.
I'm still hurting, and I've been going to meditation class. I've been working out really well. That's been my therapy, really, my meditating and working out.
Right.
But you know, I still have triggers. I'm trying to get to know me the best that I can, so I can be able to, be the best that I can be.
Right.
I'm an educator, and I've been working in education for 23 years. And like you said, people don't care, man. They don't care if you're mopping the floors or whatever you're doing. And I realize that, and it's like they won't put me in a position of power. So what I've learned how to do is that I learn how to lead from behind, and I'm making do, but I'm not a behind leader.
Right. Right. And see, and this is why the cosmology design is here, because like we all stumble on this stuff, bro. And then, like you said, life smacks you across the face, like literally. And then you're like, how the hell do I pick myself up? Like literally how? And it's not easy, bro. But I believe that, from my studies and what I've been doing, bro, like this is it. You can even learn how to position yourself better for the sake of like literally knowing how to use this energy to get where you want to get, because it is, like for me personally, I've had to change my approach, even, I made a lot of mess, and being young and dumb before I was 30. And I had to change my approach so that way people can hear me out a little bit more, like just don't say it that way. Don't do it that way. Just wait. Okay, how long am I going to wait? I just told somebody something that I've been doing for 2.5 years. And I just told them for the first time because I couldn't tell them when I started.
Right.
Because of how they would respond to me. It wasn't ready. It wasn't the time. So it's like, you got to learn how to use your strategy and your authority, bro. Just go ahead.
Okay.
Get me email you something. We get on a coaching call and set it up, bro.
Okay.
So that way we can definitely move to the next level of this, bro, because it's work, man. It's work. It's
it's work, and it's well worth it.
Definitely,
man. It's well worth it.
I definitely believe so, man. So, man, just keep in touch with me, and let's schedule something, because you definitely need it. And you're at that age in your life now where, the manifesting time is now. Right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're working in something for 23 years. That means that there's a level of proficiency that you have. The time to master things and to move to the next level is now. You know what I mean? It's now. You ain't got much time to not be yourself.
True.
Yeah, you ain't got
I've been waiting patiently, but it's like I've been questioning, the waiting process. I'm like, well, how long do I have to wait? I just got my business license. I got a business that I license. It's called Our Future Leaders Mentoring and Consulting. And I just been kind of, like you just said, I haven't been able to get it to the point where I want to get it. And I also in the process of creating something for a lot of the brothers who's lost in the sauce called Man to Man.
Right.
And it's like, man, I don't know which steps to take from here.
Right.
It's like I got the right approach, but I don't have the follow through.
Yeah. Well, you see, like I said, right? Remember in the chart, everybody's energy is bringing something to you. So it's like starting a corporation without a CEO, a COO, a CFO, and a CIS. Like you need the different body components of it to guide it in the proper direction. So like if you don't know, that ain't nothing. You're gonna figure it out. But what we're saying is that we learn how to figure it out based on our authority and our strategy. So therefore, let's say you're the projector, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The projector has to if you're going to wait for something, right? You know what that means? It means that you prepare the best.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, because
I do. I do.
Yes.
Man, I do prepare.
And
I'm a thinker. I'm a deep thinker. Oh man.
Yeah. And
That's
then,
why when you were sharing this information, that's why it brought me to tears, man. It was just emotional because it was so on point.
yeah, and that, bro, I didn't do much. I didn't do much. I give you 5 minutes, but sometimes I'm on the phone with people for 2 hours, you know? So that ain't much.
Wow.
It was just an overarching kind of thing, you know. But definitely can, you know, stay in touch with me. I'm gonna touch bases with a few more people in here, and you know, I seen
Okay.
Jason. I wanted to give Jason a shout out and talk to him as well. So I really appreciate you, man, and let's stay in touch, bro. Let's
We
get
will. I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna sign up for your class, and I'm also buy your book. Well, when I first came in contact with you, you was sending out like chapters of your book. So I read chapters. I've been
Oh,
reading
okay.
some of your some of your podcasts. Man, you're very, very you're very on point, man. You've been helping me with a lot of things, you know, from afar. And you know, a lot of people have no idea of the impact they may have on other people, because people is always listening, people is always watching,
That's
you
true.
know.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
man, I appreciate that, bro. And I just pray the Creator bless me to keep doing what I'm doing, you know.
man,
Yeah, yeah, and just and trying to make an impact for those who need it, because I know I needed it. I know I needed
yeah,
it, and I learned that, okay, I'm having these issues as a grown man, like, oh, you know, like
yeah.
you know, there's this world that doesn't feel sorry for you because you're a man, but
Not
shit,
at all.
like
Not at all.
but I gotta figure it out though. That doesn't mean that I
Yeah.
pretend that I know when I don't. And so like
Right.
that was a whole entire process that in some cases I had to deal with on my own. And you know,
Mm,
but it's never on your own, meaning that people are
mm,
always around, even if they're not saying anything. They got energies that you're feeding off, and they're feeding off yours. It's just really, like I said, understanding your strategy and your authority and whatnot. So
mm.
that's the name of the game, Ken. And I look forward to working with
Okay.
you, bro. I definitely do, man. So we'll be in touch. And thanks for sending me your chart and being open to actually having the coaching live, man.
Yes, man. You're a blessing, bro. Thank you for, you know, allowing this process to happen. I mean, if you didn't allow this process to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So, and everything happens for a reason. So this was meant to be.
Certainly, my brother. Certainly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So we'll be catching up shortly. Send me an email. I'm going to do a follow-up email for you guys for further information. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good, bro.
All right, man.
Peace and
Take it easy.
blessings.
Likewise.
You
Peace.
too.
Jason, you there? Okay. Jason's not there. Maerelis.
Hey.
Hey, you laughing at me?
No.
How'd you enjoy the class?
This is awesome. I loved it. I love the impact. How you're impacting people. You know, I know that you're passionate and you're very positive and what you're trying to build. So I enjoyed it very much, and we got to see results, and I'm happy that you're doing this and you're impacting a lot of people with positivity and knowledge.
Yes, sir, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll move on to see if Terrell got anything to say. Thank you.
All right.
The only woman that came to the class. Okay. We don't see anything from Terrell. So we're going to go ahead and just end this. And thank you very much for everyone that came out today. And we appreciate it. I appreciate it. We'll keep on doing this.